Hello and welcome to the second edition of Citrus Bites from our offices in Sevenoaks. For those of you who haven't listened to the first edition yet, I'm going to talk about three key things over the next few minutes. Firstly, I'm going to look back at some key economic data from the last couple of weeks. I'm then going to look forward to see what's coming down the line over the next couple of weeks. And finally, I'm going to be asking a couple of those questions that we're receiving the most of from our clients at Citrus Financial to one of our financial advisors, Mark Burrows. But today, I'm going to start in the USA. So why am I starting in the USA this month? Well, it is the world's largest economy. But furthermore, they had some super strong employment numbers released in January. So this is the number of new jobs created, which against the market forecast of 187,000 actually came in at 513,000 new jobs being created. So one would ask, well, that seems like really good news. How come month on month, the major US equity markets declined? Well, that's because you may remember from my first episode talking about the Fed, and the Fed, who are the central bank in the US, grappling with this high inflation. And the way they're trying to tackle high inflation is through rising interest rates. The challenge, having seen these high employment numbers, is whether the interest rate increases that have been applied so far are enough. So the rumor now is that the Fed may be forced to go further when they meet in a couple of weeks' time. So why is this really strong employment data causing equity markets to decline? Well, typically, this is because at some point, interest rates will get to a stage where consumers start to slow down their spending. And as consumers start to slow down their spending, so we may well start to see major US companies reporting changes in the types of revenue they've been achieving over the last 12 months. And the equity markets are simply looking ahead to predict whether that might play out. So we'll get to see in a couple of weeks' time whether the Fed decide it is time to increase interest rates even further and see how that impacts on the US consumers. So coming back to the UK, last month I referenced the upcoming Bank of England meeting. Now, when they met, interest rates were increased by 50 basis points in the UK. At that time, we'd also looked at a particularly strong FTSE 100 performance. Well, in February, that performance continued, with the FTSE 100 actually achieving a record high. And why, when we're talking about challenging economic environment in the UK, are we seeing that FTSE 100 so strong? Well, typically that's because the number of companies in there either are focused very internationally for their performance, which means they get paid in dollars. Being paid in dollars right now is advantageous to them because sterling is rather weak. So that helps those companies. But we also see a number of other companies, particularly in the financial sector, who have benefited from a very positive financial circumstance over the last 12 months. And last month, I referenced the net interest margin that the banks were achieving. And that's exactly what's played out with a number of the 2022 year-end announcements that have been made over the last few weeks, which you may well have heard. So a particularly strong FTSE 100 performance carried through February. Looking through to the next few weeks, though, the Bank of England are also due to meet again on the 23rd of March. And there'll no doubt be a further conversation about whether interest rates in the UK are at a sufficiently high level to start curbing that inflationary pressure within the UK. But just before the Bank of England meet, there's the Chancellor's Spring Statement. And we'll be covering what happens in the Spring Statement through one of our webinars shortly after that on the 21st of March. In addition to the Chancellor's Spring Statement, we're also approaching the tax year end. Now, we know a couple of the changes that are due to happen as a result of the tax year end already. And interestingly, it's already leading to a few very regular queries coming in from some of our clients that we're talking to them about. And Mark Burrows, a financial advisor, joins me today as our expert to help answer a couple of these questions. Mark, thanks for joining us today. So, Mark, the first question is, why is it a good time for people to be considering plugging any gaps that they may have in their national insurance record?
Yeah, there's a window of opportunity available at the moment where the government have extended the opportunity for you to plug national insurance contribution gaps going all the way back to 2006. And from the 6th of April, that opportunity reduces to going back for only the prior 6 years to plug any missing national insurance contributions. So this is really important for all pensioners, especially for those pensioners who are sort of the latter part of their career who may have gaps to plug. It's a crucial part of someone's income in later life, especially as the generations ahead of us are expected to live longer. And obviously with most of those generations being money purchased defined contribution pensioners, it's a really valuable defined benefit pension asset to have. So we really want to make sure that our clients have plugged those gaps where possible. And broadly speaking, £824 is enough to meet your national insurance contributions to qualify for that full year of state pension entitlement. And invariably that translates into £275 a year added to your state pension. So looking plainly at that, after 3 years, that money is paid back, and anything that you draw thereafter is a benefit, is a net gain. So again, that opportunity closes to go back to 2006 at the end of this tax year. It's all available. The information is available on the gov.co.uk website, or if you're unsure, please speak to your advisor.
Mark, that's really helpful. Thank you very much for all that information. And the second question that we're receiving a lot about is about capital gains tax. So can you tell us the headline change that's due to take place with regards to capital gains tax, please?
Yeah, again, as one of the sort of penal changes from the autumn statement, capital gains tax annual exemption per person is currently at £12,300. That drops to £6,000 in the new tax year, and then to £3,000 the year after. So it's very important that people understand how that might impact their invested assets or property assets. Again, if you're unsure, please speak to your advisor.
Mark, that's great. Thank you very much for that. And then the last question I'm going to ask you is that when we're joined by our expert next month, we're going to set them a question, well, you're going to set them actually a question that they're going to need to answer live when I meet with them. So is there a question you can give me today that I can ask them when I speak to them?
Yeah, I think it's important to think about the decisions you've made with your finances throughout all the different stages in life. So I guess I would ask whatever generation of guests we had next, what is the most important decision they've made that's impacted their finances to date?
Brilliant. Great. Mark, thank you so much. Great question. I look forward to asking it to our guests next month. In the meantime, thank you everybody for watching. As I say, we'll be doing our post-spring statement webinar, which will be on the 21st of March. Please do go to our website to register if you haven't received an invite. And otherwise, I'll be recording the third episode of Citrus Bites in about a month's time. Thanks very much for watching.